Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Nigga, this for water, easy, see something Charlie. Little boo, but God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of rolling flows like I ain't looked at a while. Like I'm playing for dust and they play too deep for beachside. Little legs I got too deep. Tell me your feature deceased, would it please? Marry me by my grand, when you can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven.
Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on March the 2nd to Collision on March the 7th, as well as NXT's Vengeance Day PLE. We opened Raw to start off things with a long recap of what happened at Elimination Chamber. Randy Orton winning the Elimination Chamber, as well as Rhea Ripley winning the Women's Elimination Chamber. We get the Vision coming out to start things in the arena. Paul Heyman is not happy with how things went, and the masked man being revealed as Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins screwing Logan Paul out of the match. Heyman says this is where someone is supposed to welcome us to the show, and they are here to talk about Seth Rollins, who returned at Elimination Chamber, like I just said. Rollins is the single biggest thief, and we obviously hear the fans start to chant his music. Heyman says he hates that song. He absolutely can't stand it. And then he talks about how Rollins keeps stealing main events of WrestleMania from people who don't deserve it. In the place of people who don't deserve it. He threatens Rollins before handing it off to Austin Theory, who says Rollins stole the victory from Logan Paul. Logan Paul then talks about how the last person to eliminate 3 straight people in the Elimination Chamber was Brock Lesnar, because that is the kind of company that Logan Paul keeps. Logan Paul then threatens to hold the show hostage until Rollins gets out here. But here's Adam Pearce and security to cut them off. Pearce says this can't happen because Rollins isn't cleared to compete. But here is a masked man over the barricade. Security gives chase, and then another masked man appears, and Logan Paul chases this one away. And then you start to feel a pattern. Third masked man comes in, draws out Theory, so Heyman is all alone in the ring. And we have another masked man pop up in the entranceway, only for another one to pop up behind Paul Heyman. And of course, the one behind Paul Heyman is Seth Rollins. He does kind of the Shield style chair shot to Paul Heyman's back. And then Rollins hits the stomp to lay him out. And then Cole says that was Heyman getting his ass stomped out. But I'm pretty sure it was his. Obviously, he got stomped in the head. So Cole with a kind of weird line there. Rollins then leaves through the crowds, and then medics come out to check on Heyman, who is bleeding profusely from his mouth from taking the stomp. We then come back from commercial break, and we watch what we just saw. Heyman is being taken away in an ambulance, but Jimmy Uso pops out of a car to jump Austin Theory. He apparently is in belief that the Vision is the one who took out his brother. With Theory down, Jimmy goes to the cab of the ambulance to, I guess, be the driver. But he only comes to realize that LA Knight is in the driver's seat and is going to drive Paul Heyman probably anywhere but the hospital or the local medical facility in Vince speak. We then get our first match. Gunther defeats Dragon Lee via submission when he's able to rip Dragon Lee's mask off, and then Lee immediately taps in the sleeper because obviously he's unmasked and he doesn't want his identity to be shown. We then go to the back after that. Asuka yells at Kairi Sane over not winning the Elimination Chamber and getting into the Elimination Chamber, but Kairi says Asuka complimented her last week. That earns Kairi Sane even more yelling before Asuka leaves. AJ then comes in to check on Kairi, who seems to be just like in a complete trance. And AJ even says, blink twice if you need anything. And then obviously Asuka shouts at her from the distance, and Kairi leaves. We didn't get the announcement that Demolition is going to be in this year's Hall of Fame class. They're joining AJ Styles and Stephanie McMahon so far. So hell of a class. Again, adding another big act from the golden era. So that's pretty awesome. They're long overdue, of course. One of the greatest tag teams in WWE history. Finally getting their due. Obviously, they had some, political issues in the past with the concussion lawsuit and all that, but obviously it seems like they've worked through that stuff, and they're finally taking their rightful place in the Hall. They do say it's only Axe and Smash, so I don't know if they'll mention Crush throughout. So, but obviously Crush has passed away. But the other two are still alive, so we'll see if Crush gets mentioned in the introduction. But we then get AJ Lee. She comes out to cut a promo. She is back to do more than snatch the hair off Becky Lynch's big head. She thanks the fans for having her back and remembering her when others wanted her to be forgotten. Now she's the Women's Intercontinental Champion after beating Becky and having some scars to prove it. She's exactly who she thought she was, and WrestleMania is in front of her. We're not waiting for then, though, and she's going to be a fighting champion. She mentions a bunch of the women on the roster, and that she wants to be challenged and have some fights coming up soon. So I think they end up announcing a 6-woman match to determine her first challenger. So we'll see how that goes. We then go to earlier today. Penta ran into the OG Grande Americano, who wished him buena suerte. Americano wants the first shot when Penta becomes the Intercontinental Champion. And Penta says, Cero miedo. With Pentagon, the other Americanos come in, and they argue over who is the real version of Grande Americano. They are going to have a match at the Rey de Reyes AAA show at some point, but the OG wants to fight one of the Americanos tonight, and we will get a match between those two later on. We then have Liv Morgan. She talks about being ready to face Stephanie McMahon and prove herself once again. Morgan lists off her resume, obviously being a multi-time champion, and obviously having big matches throughout the last few years, and she is ready to take her championship back at WrestleMania. We then get the OG Grande Americano who defeats Rayo Americano via pinfall following a Chaos Theory. We then get another kind of Penta hype video talking about him being ready to defeat Dominic Mysterio tonight to become the Intercontinental Champion. We then look at Obafemi wrecking The Miz on Raw. Rusev comes out and gets on top of the announcer's table to call Obafemi out. Femi then comes out, who tells Rusev to come in and make something happen. They go face to face, and then they actually slug it out for a little bit, and then Femi eventually gets the best of Rusev and clotheslines him to the floor. So obviously, I think we'll see a match at some point between those two guys, and it'll be a banger, I'm sure. We then go to Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. They're talking about having a bad run of luck lately. But Valkyria wants to make sure Bayley gets to WrestleMania this year after getting screwed out of being there last year. Valkyria suggests the women's Intercontinental title, but Bayley says she kind of cost Lyra a title match, so maybe they should both go for it. They get to Adam Pearce's office, and Io Sky emerged from the office, obviously wanting to make her intentions clear that she wants to be involved in the build to WrestleMania. We then get a match where Jimmy Uso is able to defeat Austin Theory, but it's via disqualification when Logan Paul jumps in and attacks. Jey Uso then makes his return after that and comes back to make the save. He comes out with a pair of crutches, but he doesn't seem to be limping or holding an injury too badly. So obviously they took him out of the Elimination Chamber last week because he was not originally supposed to be in there. And they wanted a Vision participant, but they had to kind of panic and give Jay the win in the first place. So, obviously, he was never meant to be written off for any extended period of time. But obviously, it seems like we're maybe building towards a Vision Usos tag team title match at WrestleMania. We'll see if that comes to pass, but that seems to be maybe the direction they're heading. And maybe they'll add another team somewhere in there, but maybe it'll just be a 2-on-2 situation. We think Adam Pearce. He is on the phone with Nick Aldis, but runs into Danhausen. He has some demands, like a Hall of Fame induction, his face on all the trucks, and maybe even his own camera person. The paper is wet as he dropped it in the toilet, so Pierce doesn't seem to want to touch it. Judgment Day comes in, and Pierce says he needs a drink. Danhausen doesn't know J.D. McDonough's name, calls him Big Head or something like that. Judgment Day say they don't like him, with Dominic Mysterio saying no, he can't have an Intercontinental title shot, and that means that Danhausen is going to curse Dom, and then as soon as Mysterio turns to talk to the other two, they look back and Danhausen is gone. We think Rhea Ripley, she's with Io Sky to come out to cut a promo. Ripley talks about how bad things have been for the two of them, and then everything changed on Saturday. She thanks Sky for being there and being everything for her and getting her out of a dark place. Io Sky is proud of her and says she'll be okay on Raw while Rhea can go win the title at WrestleMania on SmackDown. Ripley looks at the camera then and says she'll be on SmackDown this Friday and will be leaving WrestleMania as WWE Women's Champion. We then get the Intercontinental title match, and due to the curse, Penta defeats Dominic Mysterio via pinfall following a Mexican destroyer, and Penta becomes your new Intercontinental Champion. We then see a clip from after Elimination Chamber where Nick Aldis had to be held back from Drew McIntyre. As a result, McIntyre will be defending his WWE Championship against Cody Rhodes on SmackDown this Friday. McIntyre came out to yell, and Aldis even took his jacket off before being held back. So they're kind of somewhat teasing maybe an Aldis McIntyre match. I obviously don't think that'll happen at Mania because I think Drew is headed for something else based on what we'll see that happens on Friday at the end of the week. But maybe an Aldis McIntyre match could happen post Mania. We might, we get like maybe a new GM of SmackDown or something of the sort. But it seems like maybe a match will happen between them at some point. And then we get our main event segment. Roman Reigns comes out. He obviously gets the crowd to acknowledge him. Eventually, before he really gets going, CM Punk cuts him off. CM Punk does the one finger salute and points out that he acknowledges Roman, which is all Roman really wants. Roman brings up a tweet he sent out about Punk, who says he isn't bothered by it because he doesn't get mad at what people say about him on podcasts and such. Punk says he's got to put up with Reigns' bullshit for 7 weeks. And the first stop on the road to WrestleMania is here in Indianapolis. This is where the Shield debuted because Punk brought them up. Reigns then points out that you brought the other two up, but not me. Punk talks about how he's under Reigns' skin, and it's translucent because he can see right through Reigns. It's true that Reigns hates him, but what Phil is missing is that if he didn't have the title, Reigns would be indifferent to him. Punk is back to entertain the 38 to 40-year-old virgins who still live with their parents, or maybe to sell some T-shirts or draw a house in Chicago every now and then. But being champion, that's above Punk's pay grade because he's a liar. Reigns says Phil has people believing that he's a locker room leader who has some great time. We then have Roman Reigns come out for a promo. He gets the crowd to acknowledge him, but pretty quickly after that, CM Punk comes out. He does his one finger salute, points out that he's acknowledging Roman, which is what Reigns wants. Reigns brings up a tweet he set out about Punk, who says he isn't bothered by it because he doesn't get mad at what people say about him on podcasts and such. Punk says he's got to put up with Reigns' bullshit for 7 weeks. And the first stop on the road to WrestleMania is here in Indianapolis. This is where the Shield debuted because Punk brought them up. Reigns points out that he brought the other two up and not him. He was not one of the chosen three. Punk talks about how he's under Reigns' skin and it's translucent because he can see right through Reigns. It's true that Reigns hates him, but what Phil is missing is that if he didn't have the title, Reigns wouldn't give a shit about him. Punk is back to entertain the 38 to 40-year-old virgins who still live with their parents, or maybe to sell some T-shirts, maybe draw a house in Chicago every now and then. But being champion, that's above Punk's pay grade. because he is a liar. Reigns says Phil has people believing that he's a locker room leader who has some great time. Every second that Punk is bitching and moaning back there, Reigns' cousins are telling him about it because Punk is just a punk ass bitch. When Reigns wins the title, he's putting Punk on a John Cena retirement tour. Then Punk can go down to teach NXT and teach these people how to do what they do. And they'll come up to the main roster where Reigns will just smash them one after the other. Reigns goes to leave, but Punk grabs him, saying that they have some things to cover. He wants to kind of respond to what he just said. Punk wants to know what Reigns means by we. Obviously, Reigns thinks he's a big part of the company and part of the, power players in the industry. Because Reigns is all alone. There are no more Samoans or even a wise man because Punk took the wise man away. Reigns is the one chasing him because Punk runs things around here. Yeah, he's hanging out with Reigns' cousin, and the reality is that Reigns can't get it done by himself. Punk doesn't care if Reigns doesn't love him, but Reigns will respect him. That puts Reigns on the list because he's not just getting beaten, but now he's getting buried. Then he won't be alone anymore because Punk is going to bury him next to his dead father. Punk then leaves, and Reigns is pissed with how personal everything just got there at the end. Really good promo. They continue to kill it in that department. Obviously, this is something you would like to see every week, but obviously, based on Roman's schedule at this point in his career, that's just not going to happen. But hopefully, they continue to churn out bangers like this. Maybe have a battle or a good brawl at some point between here and Mania. But really a solid segment to end the show yet again with some really personal attacks thrown in there. But as far as best match on Raw, Dragon Lee versus Gunther was really awesome. Gunther continues to churn out just awesome matches one after the other. And Dragon Lee's one of those guys that's super underrated. Him and JD McDonough, probably two of the more underrated guys in the entire company. When Dragon Lee gets the opportunity to shine, he usually does. So we'll go to NXT from there. We get an opening recap featuring last week's 3 title changes, as well as Zarya turning on Sol Ruka. We then get Miles Bourne. He comes out for his championship celebration. He heard the announcement loud and clear, and he's not here to talk about his sob story because we've all been there and done that. Instead, he wants to thank his biggest hater for doubting him, and that's Ethan Page. All that did was unleash a demon inside of Bourne. And can you hear him now? Ethan Page then comes out, who heard the thank you from Bourne, meaning it's time for a thank you himself. Page has had one bad night, and he's had quite a few great nights as he's been one of the best North American champions in history. Bourne is down for a rematch, but Robert Stone kind of cuts it off. Ethan Page says, "Oh no, let's do it right now," and kind of yells at Stone. So Stone actually says, "Let's get a referee out here and do this right now." So they both wrestle in kind of suits and nice button-up shirts and stuff like that. But Miles Bourne's able to defeat Ethan Page, retain his championship. He actually smacks Page with his shoe, with Page's own shoe, and then he follows it with the Bourne again, so he retains his North American championship. So that seemingly puts that to bed. We'll see where Miles moves on from here. We then get Zarya. She kind of gets approached in the parking lot for an interview, but she doesn't really want to talk about what happened last week. She's focused on her title match tonight. Dark State is then waiting for Tony D'Angelo in the parking lot, but Robert Stone says they have to go inside. As they leave, though, of course, Tony D'Angelo arrives and pulls a crowbar out of his trunk. We then get Blake Monroe coming out to cut a promo. She was expecting to feel rage and anger when Jada Parker kept costing her things. The reality is Parker needs her, and all Parker has done is confirm Monroe's value. People love to obsess over her, and Parker is someone who is obsessed with emotions. The fastest way to relevancy is to come after Blake Monroe, which is why Monroe is going to take care of Jada Parker at Vengeance Day. Jada then comes out, who needs to slap the taste out of Blake's mouth. The Glamour is insecure, which isn't the case with Miss Parker. Monroe has been a supporting character all her life, and the reality is she needs Jada. At Vengeance Day, Parker is going to prove that Monroe is soft. If you take away the glamour, all you have is a mediocre bitch, and then the brawl is on, with Blake eventually getting knocked out of the ring as security kind of separates them. We then get the Vanity Project. They apologize for not being there enough for Ethan Page last week, but Ricky Saints comes in to tell them to worry about Jackson Drake's Evolve title match tomorrow night. The Vanity Project then leaves, and Ricky Saints is off to prep for his Absolute experience later on. Ethan Page seems kind of annoyed by Ricky's presence, but he does understand that Ricky's just trying to be his friend. We then get Sean Legacy. He congratulates Elio LaFleur on his Speed title win. Jasper Troy then comes in and says he wants to face Eli Knight and Sean Legacy in a triple threat #1 contenders match before going after Elio LaFleur and his new Speed title after that. We then have Ren Sinclair defeat Nikita Lyons via submission with the final wrench, which is her version of the cattle mutilation. This advances Ren into a match with Thea Hale to see who will face Fallon Henley for the Speed Championship. We then get Joe Hendry congratulating Miles Bourne on his win last week. He says listening to Ricky Saints makes him wish he was deaf too. Miles seems mildly offended by this at first, and obviously Joe starts to apologize, but Bourne kind of is just teasing him, says they're fine, and looks forward to seeing what Joe does as NXT champion. We then go to Kalani. She is training for the NXT Underground match with Shayna Baszler, trying to get some skills and a way and kind of a method that she can, if she's able to defeat Lola Vice on Saturday. We then get a sit down interview between Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame, complete with a dollhouse. Paxley brings up winning the women's title, but Dame talks about stealing the title away from her. Dame then blames Paxley for losing everyone because she is pathetic and incapable of being fixed. Paxley promises to win on Saturday and prove that she was never meant to be played with. She leaves, and then Dame breaks the dollhouse that is sitting behind them the entire time. We then get Tank and Shiloh Hill defeating the Jick in a 6-man tag when Shiloh hits a pop-up neckbreaker on Jackson Drake. We then get Blake Monroe. She pops up on the announcer's table, swearing to end Jada Parker at Vengeance Day, and she challenges her to a street fight. Parker then runs out and says they both have to be held back by security. We then go to Osiris Griffin. He has been attacked and laid out. And Dion Lennox is going to call out Tony D'Angelo later on in the show. We then get Lola Vice. She is told that she still needs time to have her hand heal, and she needs to take some time off. She says she won't do that, despite warnings that it could get worse and even maybe injure her permanently. We then get Dion Lennox. He comes out to the ring to call out Tony D'Angelo. D'Angelo pops up in the crowd saying that Dark State took a dangerous man and made him even more dangerous. The challenge is on for Vengeance Day in a parking lot brawl, but a challenge is laid out for Vengeance Day, and Lennox says he wants to do it in the parking lot, and D'Angelo agrees to said match. We then get JC Jane. She thinks Sol Ruca is here for the main event. The rest of Fatal Influence understands the assignment. That's get JC Jane to stand and deliver. We then get Miles Bourne. He thanks the No Quarter Catch crew for their help, who says they're spinning their wheels. Lexis King and Team Nepo come in to tell Charlie Dempsey that the clock is ticking. Tavion Heights not being happy about Charlie seeming to even at least consider joining them. We then get JC Jane versus Azaria. It ends in a no contest when Sol Ruca comes out and hits a double soul snatcher on them. And then obviously they have a little bit more brawling after the bell. We then get Robert Stone announcing something about the NXT Women's title, but the feed on the CW broadcast cuts out in the middle of it, so we don't know exactly what he said. They end up doing a segment on Vengeance Day where they have kind of like a NXT Women's title summit. So I'm guessing that's what he kind of announced. But like I said, the feed on the actual broadcast cut out. So that's kind of what I got from that. And then we get Ricky Saints out for the Absolute Experience. He's a musician, an actor, and a wrestler. So he's here to one-up Joe Hendry's concert. The first song isn't exactly great music and involves lyrics about how he believes in himself. And apparently that was mocking Hendry's style. So he requests a stagehand give him a chair. Saints then sings a similar song before needing the mic fixed, allowing him to sing about how you should not believe in Joe Hendry. Actually, he needs an entirely new guitar. So here is one, but it's held by Joe Hendry himself. The Vanity Project run in to beat down, and then Miles Bourne comes out to kind of save Hendry, and the NXT and North America champion stand tall together to end the show. The Vanity Project versus Hank Tank and Shiloh was my match of the night. I thought it was a really solid 6-man tag. I thought they, it had plenty of action, had some pretty good spots throughout. Hank and Tank bring a lot of energy, as does Shiloh, and Vanity Project are just really good heels at this point. So I thought, as far as match, that was the best one for the night. We'll then go to Dynamite. We open with MJF defeating Kevin Knight, retaining his AEW World title. He gets the knees up on a UFO splash and then follows it with the Heat Seeker to get the win. After the match, MJF loads up the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but Hangman Page pops up for a distraction, allowing Speedball Mike Bailey to come in and kick MJF in the face to knock him to the floor. Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin then defeat the War Dogs of Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd when Cassidy hits the orange punch on Connors. After the match, another member of the War Dogs from New Japan, David Finlay, comes out, makes his debut, and attacks Cassidy and Allin. And then a shillelagh to the head knocks Allin silly, and the War Dogs stand tall. I think they're just calling them the Dogs in this because I think obviously that was like they kind of want to differentiate from New Japan, but I think that's ridiculous. So I'm just going to keep calling them the War Dogs. So Bandito and Andrade El Idolo meet in the back, but Andrade doesn't seem impressed with Bandito, and he doesn't think he's worthy of a selfie. We then get the Brawling Birds. They defeat the debuting Inspiration when they hit the 2 birds, 1 stone and end up pinning both of them. We then go to Hangman Page, who quickly defeats Marty Smith, and not the college football announcer, but he defeats Marty Smith in about 10 seconds with the Buckshot Lariat. It's pretty much just the Buckshot Lariat, and that's the match. After the match, Page says he wants to teach MJF a lesson, but he has no conscience in Texas death. If MJF wants to use the Dynamite Ring on someone, come use it on him. MJF then comes out to say he already has to listen to Hangman Page at the press conference, but he has to do it now. The Don Callis family, they come in to jump Hangman from behind, with Jet Speed running in with chairs to make the save. Don Callis then comes out, and they say that Jet Speed and Page want too many titles, so they should put the trios titles on the line tonight. Oh, and he has talked to Tony Khan and had the match already made. So despite the fact that Hangman and Kevin Knight have both wrestled already, they have to defend their trios titles later tonight. We then go to earlier today. FTR with Stokely Hathaway sat down with the Bucks, saying that they can prove that they're the greatest tag team of this generation at Revolution. The Bucks just want revenge for their family, but they want to do it in front of their family at the pay-per-view. The brawl is they seem to want to fight, but FTR agreed to walk away, only for Harwood to punch Brandon Cutler instead, who wasn't part of the no contact agreement. So they have agreed to not have contact with each other before the match, but obviously FTR continue to attack their friends and family. We then have John Moxley defeat Hinchicero via pinfall, following a Death Rider. After the match, Konosuke Takeshita comes out to have a stare down with Moxley. We then get Brody King to cut a promo. He wants to prove how dangerous he is to Swerve Strickland, but gets Nana instead. Nana asks if King wants to do this, and upon hearing yes, Nana waves Swerve on, but Swerve jumps Brody from behind with a chain, and then he ends up hanging Brody over the rope with the chain and agrees to the match at Revolution. And the only reason he lets go is because Bandito comes out to save Brody. We then get Wheeler Yuta with the Death Riders, shows off his quickly recovering hair, and credits the team for keeping him going. Marina Shafir doesn't like Tony Storm, and John Moxley is ready for Takeshita at Revolution. We then get Tekla successfully retaining her Women's AEW Championship against Thunder Rosa via pinfall, falling a spear and 2 curb stomps. After the match, the Sisters of Sin come out, so here is Chris Statlander to help Thunder Rosa, and they quickly bail when Stat and Thunder Rosa get kind of the upper hand. We then get Jack Perry talking about beating Ricochet for a 3rd time, this time taking the national title, hopefully. So it's going to be time to end the war soon. Ricochet kind of responds and just says he's basically that he's not worried, and then he's beaten Jack. He's also beaten Jack a couple of times, so he's not worried about losing to him. Tommaso Ciampa then comes out to cut a promo. He wants to get straight to the point of Kyle Fletcher, who gave the title an unapproved makeover. Fletcher knows he'll lose the next time they face off, and if that means he has to face Mark Briscoe first, so be it. FTR comes out and hugs Ciampa and offers him a spot with them taking over the company, taking over AEW. Ciampa says they hated each other years ago, and there's no reason for that to have changed. There's a no contact clause for the Bucks and FTR, like I talked about earlier. So Ciampa chops Harwood, and it sounds like they have agreed to a singles match on Collision. We then go to Tony Storm, who storms into the trainer's room where Orange Cassidy is recovering. They're going to fight the Death Riders next week and separately at Revolution, it seems. And then we get our Trios Championship match, and the Don Callis family of Okada, Fletcher, and Mark Davis defeat Jet Set Rodeo when Davis hits a pile driver on Kevin Knight. The Don Callis family are your new Trios champions. Really solid match. Probably on most other Dynamites would have been match of the night, but MJF and Kevin Knight was a really awesome banger to open the show, so I would go with that one for match of the night. We'll then go from there to Impact. We get a Knockouts Championship match to open things. Ariana Grace defeats Jody Threat via pinfall when she hits a pretty devastating knee into Jody Threat's bad ribs that she had been selling all match, and then Grace follows that up with a roll-up. After the match, Stax does the title presentation instead of the tradition that Carlos Silva usually presents the belt to the champion. We then have the Nemeths. They're back, and they seem to have some technical issues here too with the microphone, but Nick says he's ready to win the X Division title tonight when he faces Leon Slater in the main event. We think if the Elegance brand minus Ash tonight for some reason. The personal concierge says that Ash isn't here for the sake of her mental health, after being called a mark last week by Mickie James, which is absolutely not true. We then get them going over to yell at the cast of the new Mama June show, the former mother from the Honey Boo Boo show back in the day. So apparently she's famous enough to have another show on some godforsaken network. This brings out ODB out of the crowd randomly, who says the brand are disrespecting her people. That's what they did to Mickie James, so it's time to fight. ODB whips out some cups of some kind of brown liquid. I couldn't really tell what it was. But then ODB and the cast of the Mama June show pour it on the Elegance brand, and obviously they panic and freak out that they just got doused in whatever ungodly mixture that ODB had in her cooler. So just an absolutely absurd segment filled with absurd people. So yeah. And you have to see it to believe it, I'm guessing. I'm going to say. We then get the Hardys. They kind of give Leon Slater a pep talk about his match with Nick Nemeth later. We then get the System defeating BDE, Rich Swann, the Righteous, and Sinner and Saint when Myers hits the roster cut on BDE, and then Bronson follows it with a sit-out tombstone piledriver. I think that earned them a number one contender tag team title shot. I don't know that they particularly announced that, but I think that is what that match happened for. We then go back to Rosemary. She is in a room with shadows going on around her. She has a knife and talks about the decay ending way back when. Even though she was supposed to be the master of the dark realm, there is still a way to make things right, though, which involves her making a list and obviously checking names off of it. We then have Moose defeat Alicia. Not defeat. He is with Alicia Edwards to cut a promo. Moose is tired of the System calling themselves a family when they'll stab you in the back. He talks about some Atlanta Falcons legends in the front row, as he was part of the team at one point. Moose is ready to go through the System one-on-one, starting with Cedric Alexander in a street fight next week. Then it's Bear Bronson, with Eddie Edwards being saved for last. Alicia promises to stand by Moose's side and take out the System one by one. We then get Rich Swann. He gives BD a pep talk after their tough loss earlier. Trey Miguel comes in and does the same. Order 4 then comes in to complain that they weren't in the number one contenders match earlier. BDE and Swann leave. Trey Miguel and Order 4 continue to kind of do it. And then Jada Stone comes in as well and gets in Tasha Steele's face for attacking her after their match last week. We then have Elena Black defeat Mara Sade via pinfall following a brass knuckles shot. She kind of picks her up for a suplex, and Elena Black had brass knuckles, obviously knocks her out from there. We then get AJ Francis. He comes out to insult Atlanta, and obviously the hometown man, being from everywhere, comes out and they got to get into an argument and then a brawl. Frankie Kazarian then comes out for his talk show, The King speech. He mentions showing up on Monday Night Raw for AJ Styles last week before bringing out his guest tonight, Elijah. Kazarian praises Elijah for the instant classic of the guitar case casket match last week, and Elijah asks who wants to walk with him. That's not something Kazarian wants to do, and brings up that Elijah has never won a title here. Elijah talks about ending things with Mustafa Ali in Order 4, but Kazarian gets in his face, claiming disrespect. We then have AJ Francis and the hometown man continue to battle out to the ring. Francis then is able to choke slam the hometown man off the stage and onto some other people. And then Elijah runs the check on the hometown man, and the segment just kind of ends. We then get Eric Young. He grabs a camera and says he hopes Leon Slater wins tonight, as he has the Feast or Fired X Division title briefcase. So they're obviously in each other's lives. We then see the word Pride appear on the screen, and Tommy Dreamer, who had been on the screen as well, seems to be gone as Rosemary appears in his place. Rosemary offers Carlos Silva a new contract and a feather to use as a pen. Silva signs, and a monster appears in the door. Rosemary says that's 1 down and 6 to go, as Project Lazarus has been approved, and she has ideas for the next one, whatever that means. So we'll see what Rosemary continues to do over the next few weeks. We then get Leon Slater. He is able to defeat Nick Nemeth via pinfall following a Swanton 450. After the match, Eric Young jumps Slater and gives him a pile driver on the floor. So obviously I think we'll end up getting that title match between the two of them sooner rather than later. We then have Mike Santana come out for our main event segment. He gets straight to the point. He wants to talk about Steve Maclin, who jumped him a few weeks ago. Accountability is what got him here as the world champion. Tom Hannafin has gone to bat for Maclin, and now Santana will too. He wants Maclin reinstated so he can get his hands on him. Daria Ray comes out to grant his request, but she gets to decide when they'll fight. Santana Marella says that the powers that be above them have already made the match, and it will happen at Sacrifice in New Orleans, which works for Santana, but he promises violence sooner than that. That ends the show. Pretty solid segment. Obviously, Macklin and Santana is probably one of the bigger matches they can put on at this point. Two talented guys. They're pretty over within the TNA roster. But obviously, match of the night, Leon Slater was involved, so he is definitely usually a pretty prime candidate for match of the night. And him and Nick had a pretty solid match, so check that one out if you want to check out something from Impact. We then go to SmackDown. We open with another Elimination Chamber recap. We go to earlier today. Carmelo Hayes came in to see Nick Aldis, who is a surprise challenger for him for his title later on. Hayes asked who, but then he decides he would rather just find out when he gets to the ring. He does find out when he gets to the ring, and he is able to defeat El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. via pinfall, following the Nothing But Net. So a AAA superstar. I think he's the Latin American champion, I think is what they call the belt. So pretty solid match, but maybe not one of Melo's best open challenges per se. We then get Ilya Dragunov. He says he isn't going to be accepting the U.S. Open Challenge anytime soon because he needs to get back to winning ways, and he has not been the warrior that people think he is lately. Miz then comes in to mock him for saying he doesn't want title shots just because he hasn't been on a winning streak or anything like that. Kit Wilson then pops in to say that Miz is being toxic. Dragunov says he'll have to see them in the ring. But obviously he doesn't specify which one he's talking about. So maybe he'll face both of them in a match or separately at certain points in the near future. We then go to Damian Priest. He has been told he has a match tonight, but he doesn't know who he's facing. Nick Aldis is about to answer, but R-Truth comes in to reveal that they're a tag team in tonight's tag team turmoil match to determine the number one contender for the tag team titles. And Priest says that's okay with him. Drew McIntyre then comes in to see Aldis to ask if Aldis has come to his senses and canceled this title match with Cody Rhodes. Aldis says McIntyre can either defend the title or forfeit the championship to him right now. And McIntyre says he's beaten Cody Rhodes before, and he doesn't have a problem doing it again. We then get the Irresistible Forces to come out to celebrate their women's tag title win from last week. They brag about their win, promise to face anyone at any time. They have a toast, but here are Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Bliss says Jax finally found a coattail to ride all the way to the top, and they seem to be about to fight. But Kiana James and Julia come out with James bragging about her recent successes. Aldis then comes out to announce a tag match between obviously the two non-champion teams. Charlotte and Alexa then defeat Julia and Kiana James when Charlotte hits natural selection on Julia. We think of Cody Rhodes. He says he wants to point the sign, and that means winning the title tonight. Zayn then comes up and says it's crazy that Rhodes is getting a title match tonight. Cody asks what's so crazy about it. Sammy then goes on kind of a rant about Rhodes didn't win Elimination Chamber. He didn't win Royal Rumble. Yet somehow he's still getting a title shot, and Sammy isn't. Rhodes thinks that Zayn is trying to get a title shot against Rhodes before Rhodes has even won it, but Zayn isn't sure what he's doing. He's just kind of lost in, he's not all there mentally right now. He's obviously having a tough time. But he says he wants Cody to do what he does best, and that is become champion. And he really emphasizes the fact that he says again he wants him to be champion again, and kind of put that to bed. So we then have Trick Williams. He had appeared on the Breakfast Club podcast, and he talks about how awesome it is to be a WWE superstar. That being a football player was awesome, but being a global WWE superstar just scratches that itch that he needed in his life. And he's happy with how the fans have reacted to him since he's been on the main roster. We then get Damian Priest and R-Truth. They win Tag Team Turmoil to become the number one contenders for the tag team titles, last eliminating Los Garzas. The other teams involved in the turmoil were the Motor City Machine Guns, Fraxium, and the Wyatt Six. Obviously, the Wyatt Six at some point throughout the match gets fucked with by the MFTs. So obviously, they're trying their best to not face the Wyatt Six, and for some ungodly reason, that fucking uh, program continues and continues and continues, despite it being one of the worst parts of SmackDown on every given week. We then get Sami Zayn. He comes up to Randy Orton and asks how Cody Rhodes is okay with Orton dropping him with the RKO. Orton says that sometimes you have to be selfish occasionally, and Sami asks if that would make him a bad person or if that makes Orton feel like a bad person. Orton says he doesn't know about all that, but it does make him a 14-time world champion. He believes in Sami, who says that Zayn might need to listen to the voices in his head. Obviously, kind of giving into his darker side. With Orton then gone, Aleister Black and Selena then come in to say that to tell Sami that the way Orton just acted was just the nature of the beast. So maybe I don't know if this was kind of a way to kind of push Aleister off onto Sami and kind of get into his head, since Orton obviously is going to have a title match at WrestleMania, but we'll see where it kind of goes from there. It would make sense and it would work, but we then have Rhea Ripley come out to cut a promo. She says she has heard Jade Cargill has something to say about her, so come say it face to face with her. Cargill comes out and offers a handshake out of respect. She respects the work that Rhea Ripley has put in, but she isn't impressed with her physically or athletically. Rhea Ripley has big arms and legs, but Cargill's are better. She's more worthy to be champion, and Ripley can do nothing about she can do nothing about the beating that is coming for her at WrestleMania. Ripley appreciates the honesty, and Cargill might be stronger, but she. The thing is, though, Rhea isn't staying down from Cargill's best shot. But if Cargill takes Ripley's best shot, she sure isn't getting up. Cargill's body is built for show, while Ripley's is built for fighting. There's nothing Cargill can do about what Ripley has in mind at WrestleMania, because Ripley is that bitch and Jade is not, obviously. We then get Alex Shelley and Candice LeRae. They are worried about Johnny Gargano, but Chris Sabin comes in to ask why Shelley is doing this. Sabin says Shelley didn't even save him during their match earlier. Shelley then says he did, and they walk off to talk about their problems. Candice LeRae then tells Johnny Gargano to get up and get out of this funk, and you've got to remind everybody that you're Johnny Wrestling. He then does get up and says, let's go talk about it in the ring. We think Uncle Howdy cut a promo about Solo Sikoa, saying he's going to get back what Solo stole, obviously the lantern. Soon there will be nothing for Solo to do but run. We then get Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae to come out for a promo. Gargano says it's time for everyone, including him, to remember that he is Johnny Wrestling, and he throws out an open challenge. Obviously, what is typical about open challenges now is that Oba Femi is going to be the answer of those open challenges, and he does come out and defeat Johnny Gargano in a few minutes with a fall from grace powerbomb. We then get Michin and B-Fab. They say they want Jade Cargill, and Michin will actually face Jade next week in a non-title match, so we'll see how quickly Jade dispatches of them there. We then get Nick Aldis. He runs into Danhausen just like Adam Pearce did. Danhausen again says he wants to be in the Hall of Fame, but this time he says he wants a mentor. Aldis says he doesn't have the responsibility of doling out mentors for people, but then he sees The Miz and says The Miz can do it because he always seems to want to have a protege. Danhausen says he wants to be WWE champion and have his own reality TV show, threatening to curse The Miz if that's not what he gets. Miz then seems to kind of turn it down, and Danhausen then says, "Remember what happened to Dom when I cursed him?" And Miz goes to yell at Danhausen some more, but Danhausen has then vanished. We then look at Drew McIntyre beating Cody Rhodes in the 3 stages of hell to win the WWE Championship in January. Then McIntyre eliminated Cody from the Royal Rumble and cost him in the Elimination Chamber. So now Rhodes gets his title shot from being constantly screwed over and over by Drew. And then we get our match. Cody Rhodes becomes the new WWE champion, defeating Drew McIntyre via pinfall when Jacob Fatu comes out and stops Drew from using a chair. And Cody then hits the Cody Cutter and the Crossroads to again become the WWE champion. Due to the fact that it's pretty much the only match that got a lot of time, I would go with Rhodes and McIntyre as the best match of the night. A lot of the other matches were short, and the tag turmoil was just, filled with great teams that they didn't, let, show what they can do. But yeah, Rhodes and McIntyre definitely match of the night. I think it was really, really awesome. An awesome title match. We'll go from there to Collision. We open with FTR defeating the Rascals, retaining their AEW tag team titles. When FTR hits the Shatter Machine on Wentz for the win. After the match, Mark Briscoe comes out to do commentary for their next match, for the next match, and has a pretty tense kind of face to face with FTR after the match. We then get Anthony Bowens. He tells Hook he can be a killer, so Hook says take over the camera from Shibata. Hook then red rums some random guy standing around backstage and has Bowens kind of follow them. So maybe he seems to be open to the idea that Bowens might join the ops, but we'll see how it continues to go. Seems like he's going to give him some opportunities to prove himself. We then get Daniel Garcia defeating Tommaso Ciampa via pinfall when Garcia attacks Briscoe, which causes Ciampa to accidentally run into Briscoe, and Garcia gets a surprise jackknife cover for the win. After the match, Garcia leaves, and Ciampa wants nothing to do with Briscoe's handshake. FTR and Stokely Hathaway then come in again and go after Ciampa. Briscoe gets in to even things up before any kind of fight breaks out. And Ciampa is appreciative of Briscoe, but then he turns on him and lays him out with a pump knee. We then get video of Claudio Castagnoli versus Takeshita. They kind of show us highlights from their time limit draw in the Continental Classic, and that'll be our main event for tonight. We then get Swerve Strickland defeating Gravity via pinfall following a house call. Chris Statlander wants Tekla one more time at Revolution, and this time she wants it to be 2 out of 3 falls. We then go to after the break, and Tekla comes out and says no in a variety of languages to that challenge. She's since when does she have to listen to some bitch from outer space? What even makes Statlander think she can win twice in one night? Tekla sent Thunder Rosa back to the graveyards. Everything Statlander is afraid of is what Tekla is. So pretty good promo there by Tekla. I assume that match will happen eventually, but obviously she turns it down originally. We then have our, I think it's like a $200,000 tag team match. Private Party defeat La Facción Ingobernables, the Swirl, and the Outrunners when they hit the Doomsday Cutter on Lee Johnson of the Swirl. We then look at the Don Callis family winning the trios titles on Dynamite. Jet Speed then says they'll be teaming with Mystico this time to challenge the family at Revolution for the trios championship, so they want them back. But obviously, Hangman has other things going on that night. Swerve then comes in and tells Kevin Knight that he needs to be more of a killer if he wants to be world champion one day. We then get Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. They jumped to the Babes of Wrath earlier today. We were shown that. Megan Bayne and Lena Cross then defeat the Timeless Love Bombs when Cross hits a jackhammer on Mina Shirakawa for the win. We then get Mark Briscoe. He says he's known Tommaso Ciampa for a long time, but something has felt off between the two of them. Then tonight, Ciampa jumped him, and that's the Ciampa that he knows. Now, Ciampa is aligned with FTR, so Briscoe will just team with them Bucks to kind of, get some revenge on both FTR and Ciampa going forward. We then get the trios of the War Dogs. They defeat Cosmo Query, Gino Catanari, and Caden Monroe when they all hit some big moves on Monroe. They hit like an implant DDT, a pile driver, just big move after big move to kind of finish off the jobbers in this match. We then get Toni Storm. She comes back out. She wants to face Marina Shafir at Revolution. And pretty much anything goes, but she wants no one to interfere. No members of the Death Riders. Nobody on Toni Storm's side. She wants it to just be her and Marina and see who the real best, toughest bitch in the industry is. And then after she gets done with Marina, she wants her title match back, or she wants her title back. We then get Persephone. We look at her winning the CMLL Women's World Title from Mercedes Moné from the previous night. So Mercedes continues to lose belts. Obviously, I think this is kind of the way that they needed to go. She eventually needed to lose all the titles to, emerge and maybe win. Finally get the one that's escaped her, which is the AEW Women's World Title. So hopefully that continues to be the way that they go. And then we get our main event where Konosuke Takeshita defeats Claudio Castagnoli via pinfall following a raging fire. After the match, the Don Callis family and the Death Riders brawl to end the show. I would have bet going into the show that would have been match of the night for me, but I'm actually going to go with Rascals versus FTR that opened the show. I thought that was really strong, really good tag match between two teams that I like a lot. Maybe the Rascals more than FTR, but I do enjoy most of the matches by both of those teams. But I thought the Rascals really brought the best out of FTR in this one, so I would go with that for sure. But Konosuke and Claudio was also very good. So maybe check both of those out if you want to check something out from Collision this week. We'll then go to Vengeance Day to end the show. Blake Monroe opens the show defeating Jada Parker in the street fight. She throws quote-unquote diamonds in her face, and then she hits the glamour shot onto them to kind of add an extra bit of oomph to it. So she is able to defeat Jada in that match. We then go to the backstage, and Ricky Saints walks up to Ethan Page and asks where he was on NXT when he was jumped during his Absolute experience. Page points out that he lost his NXT North America title and needed to clear his mind. Saints says Joe Hendry is going to pull out all the stops, and that includes Miles Bourne, so he needs his friend to help him tonight. Page says he's got it and will be there for Ricky. Saints says to envision it, two-time NXT champion, and then Ethan Page as a two-time North America champion. Saints leaves, and Page says, yeah, 2 times, which makes me think that Ethan's thinking about being NXT champion once again. We then get Tony D'Angelo. He defeats Dion Lennox in a parking lot brawl. It kind of starts in the parking lot, goes to the ring, becomes a match. I think it was kind of a match the whole time, but whatever. But Tony D ends things with his big spine buster and gets the win. We then get Tatum Paxley. She becomes the new North American Women's Champion when she defeats Izzy Dame via pinfall with the Cemetery Drive. We then get OTM. They cut a promo in the back. They had gotten involved and kind of helped Tony D in the parking lot brawl earlier in the night. They get asked about it. Bronco Nima says it's not about Tony, but it's about Dark State. They've been acting like they own everything around here. And then Lucian Price says it's stand and deliver season, and they haven't forgotten, and it's time to go eat. So they want Dark State. They want to kind of get back at them for all the stuff that they've been doing over the last few months to kind of wreck the tag team division. And then we get Mr. Stone. He comes to the ring, says Vengeance Day is off to a hot start. But right now, he wants JC Jane and Fatal Influence to come down here. They come down. JC fakes out a handshake with Stone and gets a mic. She says Stand and Deliver is around the corner, and against all odds this year, she will walk in as champion. She says it seems like just yesterday she was being called the transitional champion. It's been quiet lately, and nothing brings her as much joy as watching losers eat their words. JC Jane says she knows how this business works and has been through all the ups and downs. One day you're sitting next to someone in the locker room and then they're gone. She'd be lying if she didn't feel like that she might be the next one. She says last year at Stand and Deliver, she was in a tag match on the pre-show and felt lucky to even be on the show. But this year she's walking in as a dominant champion and should be the main event. Mark her words. Don't be surprised when she main events WrestleMania next year. She's coming. She's coming for that too. And when it comes to beating people, she beat their favorite Sol Ruca in less than 6 seconds. And then Tuesday, she was well on her way to beating Zarya and hit the rolling encore, but Sol couldn't move on. Stone then cuts in and says the goal is to find the next champion. So Zarya comes out. Zarya says JC said she had her beat last week and kind of questions it. She's used to Sol being selfish, but JC is just being delusional. The only reason Zarya isn't standing here as champion is because of Sol. She deserves another shot at the title. Fallon then cuts off Stone and says Zarya and Sol aren't Fatal Influence's problem. JC has dealt with some toxic baggage between them. Fallon and Laney both say that they've helped JC keep the title on multiple occasions, and Zarya only has herself to blame. Zarya says that Fatal Influence is usually looking for help. They never know what the other two are going to do. Sol then comes out. Sol says all she sees are 2 souls that will be hers again very soon. She says JC thinks she's at the top, but how can someone in the top be so desperate to convince everyone that they're good enough? And as for Zarya, she trusted her, but Zarya has forgotten how well she knows her. Sol says Zarya isn't touching the NXT Women's title because it's hers. Stone then says a week from this Tuesday, it will be JC Jane versus Sol Ruca versus Zarya in a triple threat match for the title. JC then attacks Sol and Fallon and Laney join in. Zarya pulls them off and goes after Sol herself. JC then attacks Zarya. Sol comes off the ropes for a double Soul Snatcher, but Fallon pulls Lacey out of the way, so she ends up pulling Soul Snatching Zarya. JC Jane then hits Sol with the rolling encore, and the heels stand to end the segment. So we'll see if JC's able to escape the show in Houston in a few weeks with our title and see where we kind of start to head towards stand and deliver when it comes to the women's championship. We then get Charlie Dempsey. He is talking to Tavion Heights when Lexus and Team Nepo come in and ask for his decision. He says no, and Lexus says that their fathers paved the ways for them, and for what? For influencers, athletes, and failed Olympians like Tavion to take their spot. He asks when Charlie is going to get wise and leave his old buddies behind. Tavion says they should have a one-night only NQCC revival on Tuesday, and Charlie admits that they were good times, and he's on board with the tag team match. We then get Lola Vice defeating Kalani Jordan via knockout in the NXT Underground match when she floors Kalani with a spinning back fist. We then go to JC Jane. She is crashing out backstage over the fact that she has to compete in a triple threat in just over a week. Laney says she'll take care of Sol this Tuesday, but Fallon says she has a title match as well in Houston, so she has to focus on that. So JC says Laney has to make sure that Sol doesn't get to the triple threat match, and so JC only has to worry about Zarya in that case. And then we get our main event, which is Joe Hendry defeating Ricky Saints via pinfall following a low blow and a standing ovation. So Ethan Page does come out during the match, but he's kind of in a trance. He doesn't seem like he really wants to help Ricky, but he kind of causes some distraction, and the ref obviously is paying attention to something to that. He kind of gets stuck in the corner, and obviously Joe takes advantage, hits the low blow and the standing ovation to get the win. I was stunned, but Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame had an absolute banger of a match. The crowd was buzzing. They were all into that one throughout the match. They really got across the personalness of the rivalry. And I thought it was really, really well done. I was stunned. I was not expecting that to be my favorite match from the show. And I thought it was really good. But that'll wrap up the show for this week. Thank you for joining me as always. And we will see you next week as we continue to build towards WrestleMania.